Hello Vikings and welcome back to the Valheim Guide, episode 7. Today is going to be all about farming. As you can see behind me here, I have set up a bit of a farm area, but don't worry, I will go into how you need to set up your farm areas later on in this video. And we're going to look at all things farming. We're going to look at how we farm the crops available to us at this stage of the game. We're also going to look at honey farming, so all the different beehives and basically a little scientific experiment about where they can be placed and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to get into boar farming as well. Now, some of the base developments here, if you haven't seen these as part of the Valheim Guide, is because I've done them in live streams. So if you want to catch my live streams here on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and get notified that way about more. Or if you want to follow me on Twitch, the link is in the video description. But let's jump into the farming guide. So in order to start farming, you'll need a couple of things. The first thing you'll need to do is make yourself up a cultivator, and I'm going to show you how this works in just a second. You also need to find some carrot seeds. So let's have a quick look at how and where we find the carrot seeds, and then we'll come back to talking about the cultivator. So to get carrots, you'll need to get the carrot seeds, and they can be found here in a black forest biome, and they look, of course, just like this. Now, the carrot seeds will respawn in-game between every 4,000 to 5,000 seconds, which basically works out that every like 2.2 to 2.8 in-game days, roughly speaking. So you could wait 3 days and come back and get them. However, when you're going through a black forest and you'll do a lot of adventuring through a black forest, you'll probably find enough of these to get you started, because every time we pick up one of these, we actually get 3 carrot seeds from it. And these will be used later on in the video, and I'll show you how to do that later on, along with the cultivator, in order to make more carrots. So I'm going to show you all of this, but that is how you get the carrot seeds in the first place. Okay, so as if by magic, we're in the same spot. Editing magic for the win, guys. And we're now going to talk a little bit about the cultivator. So, oh, wrong spot. I forgot I moved my forge into the workshop area. So over in here, we have our forge set up, and you'll see that to make a cultivator, it requires 5 core wood and 5 bronze. So it's that simple. You just need to go and get yourself that materials, and you can make up the cultivator. Now, when I am wielding the cultivator, if I right click with it, you'll see I have different options. So I can cultivate some land. I can turn the land back into grass if it's already been cultivated or hoed. So for example, if I want to turn this into grass, I could do so. When you cultivate land, you click like this, and it turns into this farmland right here, and that is how you plant your crops. So let's go look at how we do that. So down here, I do of course have my farm, and all of this, as you can see, is cultivated land. So when holding the cultivator, if I have these carrot seeds in my inventory, I can right click and select the carrot, and then I can go ahead and plant the carrot down. Now, in terms of the planting, if we go ahead and just grab ourselves out one of these little wood floors, this is roughly the distance they need to be apart. So this gives you a good indication of it being this far apart in all directions. It can actually be slightly less than this, but you don't want it to be too close, because if the crops get too close to each other, they will not grow. They need space to grow. So this is roughly the space you're looking at. As you see, all of these here grew healthily, so hopefully this gives you a good gauge on how much space they need. Now, when you pick up your first carrot, there we go. Boom. Look at that. We have all these new recipes now, including some new cauldron recipes, which is very cool. But the one we're going to talk about right now is the last one that flashed up on screen there, which was the carrot seed. So whilst holding the carrot, you can plant carrot seeds. Now, basically, if we put these down here, these will grow and will look the same as the ones you saw in the Black Forest biome, but of course you can control the planting of them. And each one of those will give you 3 carrots, seeds I should say. So then those seeds can be turned into 3 carrots. So essentially 1/3 of your harvest each time can be put back into seeds, and you can keep 2/3 in order to have a sustainable farm. So you profit by 2/3 every time you do a farming process. So you'll notice that around my farm here I have built a fence, and that's not just to make it look nice, it actually protects all of these crops. If mobs get near these crops, they will come up to them and basically destroy them. So of course you want to prevent that from happening. Now you'll see that what I've done over here is put like a little wood shutter as like a little aesthetic thing. It's basically, I never use it because you can easily jump these fences. So you could have these fences all the way along, or if you want to do something like this, that's fine. But just make sure that no mobs can get in. Now, I've had some people say that they've had mobs that have spawned inside their farms. Now, this shouldn't happen because the ground has all been cultivated, and before I cultivated it all, I leveled it, and leveling ground is a way to actually prevent mobs from spawning. Now, if you are having problems with this, I have a couple of little tips for you. First of all, be sure that your farm area and your leveled area goes like outside of this wooden wall, right? So you see here, my wooden wall is all pretty much inside the cultivated land, right? A little patch here maybe. So if I was having problems, this might be a patch that I'd attack. But if I so far, I've had no issues with this. But that's one way around it. If you find you're still getting problems, there's a couple more things you can do. One thing you can do is place down workbenches. Mobs will not spawn within a workbenches area of effect. So basically, you know, when you place this thing down and you get the big white circle around it, you can see it there, the dotted line. It's red right now because I can't place it, but there we go. You kind of see in the top left of the screen. And like, yeah, over to the right there, the white lines, they won't spawn in that area. So you can do that to prevent them from spawning. The other thing you can do is make a ward, which I haven't unlocked yet in this world. But again, wards will prevent mobs from spawning. So that's a couple of options you do have at your disposal in order to prevent mobs from spawning inside these areas. But I would say the best one is to level all the ground first, like I did here, then cultivate it, and you shouldn't have any issues. I never have. I've just heard of other people having issues and wanted to mention it as part of this guide. So with my carrots all farmed, I now have a lot of new recipes, and one of the things you want to do now is go ahead and make yourself up a cauldron. Place it above a fireplace just like this, and if it is inside, be sure to have a way of venting that smoke, of course. Now, when we open up the cauldron here, you'll see we have some things available to us. So carrot soup with a fantastic stamina of 45 and a health of 15. We also have a deer stew, which has a health of 45, a stamina of 15, so basically the reverse of that. And we have the minced meat sauce with a health of 40, stamina of 13. And these things are all reasonably inexpensive to make up as well. So these are some fantastic early game options for food that will give you lots of extra HP and stamina compared to what we've been eating up until now. So you want to go ahead and make the cauldron pretty quickly. And all you need to make the cauldron is the 10 tin. So it's pretty simple to do. Just need to go and do a little bit of mining in the Black Forest. Next up, we're going to talk quickly about beehives, and there's a lot of information out there that I seem to find that is wrong about beehives. So we're going to clear up a few things in today's episode. Now, when you place a beehive down, it needs to have space from surrounding objects. So anything you build, it needs to have space from. Now, this right here, placing this here is plenty of space, and you can go and check, and there we go. The bees are happy, which is always nice to see. Now, this is going to be like our control beehive, okay? Because that's in a location all on its own. And what I'm going to do now is go and place some more down with some markings to show you guys about how much space they need between them. So I'm going to place this one here, grab some wood, and set up a little test, which I'll show you in just a second. Okay, so back at our beehive, we have the wood on us, and what this is right here is a 2-meter wooden beam. So I'm going to make sure I place that right up next to that beehive there, and then go ahead and place down a beehive right next to it there. So that is like the 2-meter distance between those two. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is do the exact same thing on the other side, but with just a 1-meter beam. So we place that down there, go ahead and grab another beehive. There we go. And place that down just there like that. So this here is going to give you the different examples of the horizontal distances between beehives. Next up, we're going to test the vertical distance. And what we have here is a 2-meter wood pole on top of the beehive there. We're going to go up here and place ourselves down another beehive up on top of there. So let's get right to the top of this ladder if we can. And place that down on top of there. Very good. So when I check on these, the bees are happy. The bees are happy in there. The bees are happy in there. And the bees are happy in there. Now what I'm going to do is get on with the rest of the video for a little bit, and we're going to just keep an eye on this, and once these start to develop honey, we'll see at what rates these develop honey, and how basically close they can be together before they become affected in terms of the rates of what they produce. And of course, we got this one over here as our control test. This is completely on its own, and will produce honey at the fastest possible rate. So in this farm, a grayling was in here just a second ago, which really surprised me, because as I said, I have not actually had issues with that before. But given that's the case, what we're going to do now is put down a workbench just in the middle of the farm. It doesn't look pretty, and I'll probably make this look prettier, you know, or do something with it in the future, but we're going to see if that stops that from happening again. But also we have these things, the carrot seeds, so this is what happens when you plant them. They look the same as they look in the wild, as well as a few carrots dotted around in here. So our farm is starting to grow, but it does bring me on to something I wanted to talk about as well, as like another little tip, and that is if you have a structure like this, where it's like above the farm area like this, this crop would not be able to grow. Obviously this is fully grown right now, but if it was a seed, it would not be able to grow. You cannot have items directly above it, as it needs the direct sunlight, and this includes if you plant it under man-made structures like we've got here, or if you were to plant it under trees as well, that can be an issue. So just worth mentioning that in case any of you are having trouble, that could be the reason for it. I just want to say as well, big thank you to Emma, who plays on the Valheim server. That's my Valheim server. If you guys are interested in joining that, there'll be a link down in the video description. But she's kind of the server farmer. She's made a name for herself as the farmer. So I did ask her for some tips for this video. Many of the tips you've seen today have come from her, so big thank you to her for for providing those tips. And now we're going to have a little sleep and get ourselves prepared, and then I'm going to talk about farming boar. So when it comes to taming boar, you'll need a few things. The first thing you're going to need is somewhere to put them, and because we're going to have two that we're going to have to tame in order to breed them up and get a lot more, I've made these little pens that you see here to keep them separate. Now the reason for that is because when we get the boar back here, I'm going to get the first one in here and trap it in just like that, but it won't be tamed, so it will still be attacking fences and stuff when we're around because it'll be scared. So if we had just one pen, when I made this little pen here with a boar in, when I come back with a second boar and I break this to come in here and put the second boar in here, the first one's going to escape, and trying to get two of them in there at the same time is a bit of a faff. So it's much easier to just kind of do this like this. And then when we have the two boar that are both tamed in here, we can use this as one of the walls and then build our fence out and around this to expand their pen. So as such, make sure that you build this in an area where you're going to be expanding it later on. So basically this to me is going to be a corner, and then I'm going to expand up here like this. So make sure that you do the same for yours. Now, in terms of finding the boar, I'm going to show you guys a runestone in a second that has a lot of boar that will spawn around it, and you've got a much higher chance of getting the 1 and 2 star boar, which is what you really want for a boar farm, because if you breed a 2-star boar with another 2-star boar, then your babies are all 2 stars, and it just really increases the amount of drops you get, which is very useful. So as you can see over here on my map, I have noted where a boar runestone is, and hopefully there will be a 2-star there, and we'll go check that out. But yeah, so I recommend that you note these on your map when you're going around and exploring around your base. And what I'm going to do now is go over to that runestone, and then I'll show you what you're looking out for and how you can know that it is in fact a boar runestone and not one of the other ones. So an update with our very scientific beehive experiment, and as you can see here, our test subject has 2 honey in it, and this one in the middle here has 2, this one has 2, this one has 2, and you guessed it, this one has 2. So I don't know if this was a thing of the past where if beehives were too close to one another, it slowed down their production. But as you can see, all of these have 2, the exact same amount as the test subject over here. And so if there is a difference, because there technically could be, right? This one could have got to 2 slightly quicker in between when I checked, but I think it's got to be quite minimal. This one is not a whole honey ahead, that's for sure. It would be on 3 right now, and these would still be on 2. So I think the whole thing with beehives basically is don't place them too close to structures like, you know, your buildings and such. But other than that, they can actually go pretty close together and not slow down the honey rate. And I think that's quite important, because this actually is going to change the way, me personally at least, the way I farm honey now that I know this. Because I used to spread them out quite a lot, whereas now we can actually have them quite close, which is really, really nice. So just over here we have our boar runestone, which looks like any other runestone from a distance, but when you go up and read it, the way you can know that it's a boar runestone is the second paragraph there starts with "look also to the wild boar." So if it starts like that, then you know it's a boar runestone. Now around this runestone, you've got a higher chance of getting boar, and also a higher chance of getting boar that have stars and stuff on them. But as you can see, they're not always home. So sometimes you do have to have a little bit of a run around and search for them in the meadows and that sort of thing. Now the ultimate goal is to get yourself a couple of 2-star boars, but this can take like quite a long time to find 2-star boars, and it depends really like how much time you want to dedicate to this. But what I think is a better idea is to just get yourself a couple of like normal boars. If you can find 1 or 2-star, then great, but if they're just normal boar, get them, trap them at your base, and start the boar breeding program. Then when you're around your base just chopping down wood or doing building programs or whatever you're doing, and you bump into a 2-star boar, bring it back and trap it, and then upgrade your farm. So there's different ways you can do it, but that way you will save a bit of time, and also you'll still get some materials in the meantime. So what I'm going to do now is make sure I stick to the meadows, because that's where the boar are going to spawn, and we're just going to have a little run around until we find one, and then I'll show you how to trap it at our base. Okay, so here we go. There's a boar up here. So what I want to do is get his attention just like this, and make sure I've got a decent amount of stamina, because we are going to be doing a lot of running. So come on, Mr. Boar, get a bit frightened and come at me. And here we go. So once you start chasing us, we're going to run back towards the little pen that we made earlier. And basically, if you can stop him from attacking like he did just then, he'll chase you a little bit faster. Because when he attacks, he sort of runs off and circles back. But yeah, he'll keep chasing you basically the whole way. So you just want to get one as near to your base as you can, and then run him over here. And make sure you have the materials on you to build this bit of fence. Because what we're going to do is get him trapped in here, get him to chase us in. Okay, sometimes it takes a little minute here. You figured it out. All right, he's trapped in there. We can jump out, and I placed the fence wrong, but I got him on the second go. Okay, great. So now, of course, what you need to do is feed your boar. And boar are good. They will eat a lot of different food, including raspberries, brown mushrooms, and carrots. But what we're going to do is we're going to feed our dude some carrots, because I've got a lot of them, but also because they are easily farmable in the game, as opposed to like the mushrooms where we have to go and find them. So at this stage of the game, that's going to be a good food to give them. Now, you can check on the boar wiki if you Google it to see all the different foods you can feed them and stuff. But yeah, carrots would be my recommendation as part of like the farming video that we're doing here today. So to feed him, what you want to do is jump up on the fence. It can be a little bit tricky to do this. Make sure you're pointing in the right direction and then throw in the carrots. And for some reason, I always throw them like a little bit too far. All right, let's stand back a bit here. Maybe if we throw them like this, there we go. So you got to throw them to the land in the pen like that. Then you need to run away because while you're nearby, he will be frightened. Now, it's very important to mention as well, do not have any fire nearby. No bonfires, no campfires, no hearths, no sconces, no pole torches, basically anything that's got fire, right? So even like the little torches here, the standing wooden torches, if they're lit, or anything like that that's fire will scare the boar. And while they're scared, they won't be taming, basically. So yeah, and now we're just going to go and find the other boar and put him in the pen next door, feed him the other 10 carrots, and that is basically the process to start the taming. Okay, so just getting my second boar in here. You might have seen on the first boar there that he had some yellow hearts. Now those yellow hearts are an indication that he's actually eating the food and he's starting to learn to love us. And that is all part of the taming process. So let's go ahead and get these other carrots. We've got 11 there and we'll feed them these. Now they might need a bit more food than this, but this will be enough just to get them started while we wait for more carrots to grow. Or we can just go and get them some mushrooms and stuff like that. So let's see, am I going to get that as an accurate throw? I am. Okay, good. So yeah, now just make sure you're far enough away, as I say, so they're not seeing you and being scared by you. And basically it's a waiting game now. You just wait for them to be less scared and to start getting tamed. So you can do what I'm doing right now and get far enough away that you can see your boar and you can see the love hearts coming from them, so you know that they are taming, but you're far enough away that they're not being scared. So this is like a good way of checking that your boar are definitely getting tamed while you're waiting for them. Well guys, something very sad happened. I was working late trying to get the video finished up. And I was doing editing and I was waiting for these boar to become tame so I could show you them being tamed. And I didn't notice quickly enough that we had an event, a raid on our base, the foul-smelling smell from the swamp. So basically that means it's the dragglers and stuff that come at you and the skeletons and stuff. And yeah, they did a lot of damage around this whole area, including they broke into the boar pen and they killed the boars. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do an episode on events and Valheim raids and stuff at this specific stage of the game. Because I wouldn't want this to happen to you guys. This honestly, this really sucks. And I am going to keep going with this episode and try and get this done for you guys so that it can be out over the weekend and stuff. But yeah, this was very annoying. So perhaps I'll do a video on that. And if you guys think you'd be interested in that, then do let me know down in the comments and stuff. But yeah, rip for the boars. We're going to go and get a couple more now. And boar 1 and 2 are gone. Boars 3 and 4 hopefully are going to be here soon. Okay, so I managed to get one boar back. I'm now trying to find the second one. I thought I'd mention while the event was happening, I did make a bit of a behind the scenes video of what it's like to sometimes be making these videos and stuff like that can happen and how it can affect me versus just like, obviously it's annoying for anyone when there's these raids in game, but like with the content and that sort of thing. I just thought I'd quickly mention, if any of you are interested in seeing behind the scenes videos of me, you know, how I basically work and make my videos, or if you just want to see some bloopers and stuff like that, you can become a channel member, and that's one of the perks you're going to get is videos like that each month. And there's other perks as well. Basically below this video there's a blue join button, so if anyone is interested, then do check it out. And to everyone who is currently a channel member, thank you so much for your support. Alright guys, well it has happened. The boar are now tame. And how do we know? Well, first of all, they're not frightened when we're around. Second of all, when we look at them, they say that they are tame. And even though he is frightened, he's not like attacking the fence like he was before. And if you pet him, it says there, boar loves you. So there we go. Boar loves us. That's awesome. Now, they're only frightened because there was a grailing here a little while ago. So what I thought I'd do, guys, is let you guys name them, the viewers here. You guys can suggest names down in the comments. So let's have like one guy and one girl name, and feel free to suggest names for them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to extend the pen of them, and then I'll show you the breeding process. So to make a reasonable sized pen at the moment, this can always be expanded later on. One thing to say is you need to have like a reasonable sized pen, because essentially when you're trying to breed the boar, and I'm going to show you this whole process in a second, but the size of the pen will dictate how many boar you can have in there at any one time. So let me go ahead and make a bigger pen, and then I'll explain what I'm on about. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and extended the fence all around them, so now I can come onto the inside here and just get rid of all of this fence here between the boar, just like that. Now this does a couple of things. Obviously it gives them a much bigger pen, so in here we can have some boar breeding, but also it will allow these guys to get close to each other. So now we just need to make sure they've got a good amount of food they can eat. Let's chuck in a few mushrooms here as well to help things along. And with these, I'm going to pick up these carrots here actually if I can. Oh, I just kicked that boar in the face. That was a total accident. I was just trying to pick this up and I accidentally moved my mouse click. Let's put that over there as well. There we go. So this will get them going around the pen. So in a second, once they've both eaten, they will then be in the mood for loving, and we can get some more boar. So I'll show you that in just a sec. Okay, so here we go, guys. You should see some pink hearts there, and that means that the boars, you know, they're in the mood for loving, and they're going to breed, and in a minute, we're going to have a little baby boar, or as they call it in Valheim, a piglet. There we go. There's the pink hearts coming again. So they come like a few times, the pink hearts, and then we'll just wait here a second and wait for the birth of our first little piglet here on our new Valheim world. All right, guys, we heard a bit of a squeal and a bit of a graphic there, and we have our little piglet, little piggy. There he is right there, the first little piggy. Very cute. Let's sit down and have a good look at this guy, shall we? So that's how the breeding process works. Now, as for the little babies, you cannot name them the same way you name the adults. So instantly to name the adults, it does tell you when you look at them. You hold left shift and E, oh, it's looking at them, and you can rename them, which is what I'm going to do obviously next episode once you guys have suggested those names. But you can't name the babies, so yeah, unfortunately not. It would be cool if you could, but there we go. So that, my friends, is how you breed boar. Well, guys, the dad jokes are of course coming. I really hope today's episode didn't bore you too much, and if you enjoyed it, please do consider liking and subscribing for more. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. I had a really good joke about a farmer for you, but it's a little bit corny. I couldn't make out what the farmer was saying to his cow, but to me it sounded like utter nonsense. Anyway, moving on from that joke. Okay, sorry, now I really am just milking it. What's a horse's favorite game to play? Stable tennis.